We've already covered the best looter shooters that aren't Destiny, so it's only fair we talk about the ones you should avoid. Games that stumbled commercially, critically, or just couldn't hold onto their player base. I played the top 4 in this list, and to be fair, each of these games had something special, something that, despite their flaws, resonated with players like myself and probably you. Looter shooters are built on the thrill of combat and chasing the next powerful upgrade. When done right, they can be some of the most addictive gameplay loops, but when they fail hard.
Ever forward!
Arcane Studios is known for Dishonored, Prey, and Deathloop, games that value player choice and deep world building. But with Redfall, they took a different approach, a co-op looter shooter, and it didn't go well. The AI was broken, the world felt empty, and the loot system almost meaningless. Redfall was supposed to be a thrilling vampire hunt, but instead, it felt more like a buggy, lifeless world where enemies barely reacted to your presence. For Arcane fans, Redfall was more than just a bad looter shooter, it was a heartbreaking departure from what made their games great. When Godfall was revealed as a PlayStation 5 launch title, it was the most next-gen-y looking next-gen game to ever be. I mean, it had gorgeous visuals, fluid melee combat, and a loot system built around epic weapons and armor. But graphics alone don't make a game great. Beneath the surface, Godfall lacked variety. The story was forgettable, the enemies were repetitive, and the endgame, just running the same activities over and over. It looked like next-gen gaming, but it didn't feel like it at all. Let's get this out of the way. Marvel's Avengers single-player campaign, it was actually pretty good. Kamala Khan's story was heartfelt and it captured what made the Avengers great. The problem? Once the credits rolled, you were left with a lifeless live service grind. The loot wasn't satisfying, the missions felt copy-pasted, and while most characters felt unique, some of the Avengers themselves struggled to feel different from each other in gameplay. For a game featuring Earth's mightiest heroes, it's ironic that Avengers ended up getting snapped out of existence.
What did it cost?
Everything.
No, for real, if you didn't buy a hard copy or purchase it digitally with your account, you can't get the game anymore.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
Show me what you got.
Going airborne!
Rocksteady gave us the Arkham trilogy, some of the best superhero games ever made. So when they announced Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, expectations were sky high, and then the game actually launched. Instead of tight hand-to-hand Arkham-style combat, we got a looter shooter with floaty gunplay, weak RPG mechanics, and a progression system that felt more like a chore than a reward. And yet, for all its flaws, it still had a strong cinematic presentation. Seeing our iconic heroes twisted into villains, well, it had potential, but ultimately, the game's live service focus suffocated all the fun.
You are the chosen few, protectors of our world. This is your time.
Anthem was supposed to be BioWare's answer to Destiny, a sci-fi world packed with high-flying combat, loot-driven progression, and a grand narrative. And for a moment, it felt like it might succeed. Soaring through the skies in a javelin, that was incredible. The freedom, the speed, the sheer power, it felt like the Iron Man game we never got. But once you touched the ground, reality set in. Anthem's missions were repetitive, the loot progression was uninspired, and its endgame practically non-existent. I must admit, this one probably hurt the most. There was so much potential here, but shooting and melee were just lackluster. And the enemy types may have been varied, but it didn't matter when enemies looked like tiny specks on the screen. And the loot chase was confusing and didn't feel special. Not to mention the worst part was an underbaked and buggy multiplayer. BioWare was working on an overhaul dubbed Anthem Next by fans and media, but that too was abandoned. At their core, each of these games had potential. Anthem's flight was exhilarating, Marvel's Avengers had a great single-player campaign, and Godfall looked stunning. Redfall was Redfall, but in the end, their failures outweighed their successes. Looter shooters can work. When done right, they create some of the most engaging, long-lasting experiences in gaming. But for these 5, they serve as a reminder that no amount of loot can save a game from its own shortcomings. Which looter shooter disappointed you the most? Sound off in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, it truly helps if you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to support us here at Cutscene Collective, where we explore the stories behind your favorite games. Let us know your thoughts below. Until the next one, be good to each other.